Welcome to Season 2 of B2B Synergy, the Power Partners USA podcast, your exclusive guide to discovering the potential of B2B partnerships. I'm Alan Armijo, owner of Power Partners USA business-to-business introduction and referral service. Our members are B2B professionals who team up to provide each other repeat referral business or collaboration. Today's episode shines the light on Candace Ramirez, Director of Operations at Daftco and new Power Partner USA member. I've been looking forward to talking to Candace about Daftco's virtual assistant services. We are also happy to announce that this interview will be available on our new Power Partners AI platform. I met Candace at a B2B marketing conference in Los Angeles not too long ago, and I can see in talking with her that there was a lot of potential synergy between Power Partners and Daftco. So welcome, Candace. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me, Alan. I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast as well as a new member of the Power Partners. I'm very excited.
Great. Glad to have you. Could you explain your services at Daftco and tell us about your role as Director of Operations?
Absolutely. So what we focus on at Daftco is virtual assistant services throughout the world. So we have clients all over. We provide customized virtual assistant services to all of our clients, whether it be cold calling, lead generation, appointment setting, executive assistance, picture video editing. The possibilities are endless when it comes to our recruitment services. When I say customize, I like to emphasize that simply because we go off of what the client is looking for, whether they need a cold caller, whether they need lead generation. We focus on that specifically and make sure that we source candidates that are experienced in those fields.
Okay. So right off the bat, like you mentioned some of the virtual assistants things that you do. So I want to get it clear because there's a big list. So what would you say the top ones are, like cold calling, or what do you mean by lead generation?
So I would definitely say that cold calling is our number one. That's what a lot of clients have agents doing. So we did start as a real estate cold calling company. So basically, it depends. But when it comes to cold calling, for the most part, it is business to business, but there are some cases where it is business to consumer, depending on what they're looking for. So when it comes to cold calling, think of telemarketing, think of appointment setting, things of that nature. When it comes to lead generation is more of finding new clientele or finding numbers, finding emails, things like that. Basically, a lead generator. And that's what they would do. Someone that finds clients, or should I say, find potential clients. They can use tools like Apollo. They can use tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find additional leads.
Great. And then what are some other virtual assistants examples that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you some that our current clients have. So let's just say one client in particular, he has several VAs and several businesses. He has a VA per business. So he's a DJ and he has one that is his executive assistant. So does his calendar management, does his appointment setting, does his bookkeeping, things like that. And then he has another business that's a lighting business. He sells lighting equipment, DJ equipment. So he has one VA that does all of his inventory for that. They order things like their products and drop shipping, things of that nature. He has another business they do installation of lighting on homes. So like think Christmas lightings, things like that. And during the Christmas season or holiday season, they'll do lighting installations. And then during the off holiday season, they'll do window cleanings, gutter cleanings, things like that. So he has someone that manages that calendar and manages the people out in the field as well. So VAs can be used. And when I say VAs, I mean virtual assistants. Virtual assistants can be used in any part of a business, whether it's bookkeeping, several, like this one particular client has multiple VAs in multiple fields.
Great. So are all the assistants virtual, like no in-person placements?
That is correct. Yes. So we specialize in virtual only.
And where are the assistants based?
For the most part, they are based in the Philippines, so it is outsourcing. However, we do have other agents in other parts of the world as well. We have some that are located in Colombia, some that are located in Central America, South America, Mexico. It just depends. So, saying that I mentioned some of those countries, we do offer, depending on what our clients are looking for, some do require bilingual. So we do have English, Spanish. We have actually one client that required Mandarin. So a lot of his clients speak Mandarin. So the VA that he has with him is English and Mandarin. So it just depends. But yeah,
That's great. So you have a multi-language service.
correct.
Great, great. Tell us about your background in setting up like call centers or working with virtual assistants in their own country. And also, does that help you vouch or have confidence in the deliverables that you're providing?
Absolutely. I think I have a huge advantage in that aspect simply because I traveled to the Philippines. I lived there for about a year and a half, close to 2 years on business. So setting up call centers throughout the Philippines. So I worked with a very large company prior and I helped set up call centers from scratch basically. And so, learning the culture is very different. So I think I have a huge insight when it comes to the cultural aspect of it. Obviously, you can't learn all of that in, a year and a half, of course, right? But,
That's a
day in
long
and
time.
day
That's plenty of time.
right. So, working there day in and day out on the floor, giving advice and teaching the agents new services and things of that nature, I think was very insightful. And it gives me an advantage because one of the hardest things for people that I've noticed, or should I say clients, is sometimes they don't know how to delegate. That's one of the most complicated things for any business owner or management to do is delegation. So teaching clients realistically how to delegate and helping them navigate through that, I think is great. And I've learned along the way on, a great way of how to delegate things and teaching, like I said, potential clients on how to do that has been very
So,
helpful.
so what's something about managing a virtual assistant that most people wouldn't expect or think about?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, one of the things that's very difficult for people or they believe that it's going to be difficult to manage is, well, I can't just walk into their office or walk into their cubicle and see what they're doing or things like that. And so, one of the things that we have is tracking software on their computers. So, there's tracking software on the computers that makes it easy to see how productive they are throughout the day. That's something that we do internally. And we have staff that checks in with all of the VAs to see how things are going, things like that. We get feedback from the VA. Not only do we get feedback from the client, but we also get feedback from the VA to make sure, one, that they, enjoy doing what they do, what they're currently doing, because we think that's very, very important. I mean, I'm sure we've all in our lifetime have had a job that they kind of don't like, so making sure that it's something that they do enjoy doing is going to help them perform a lot better. So I think that that's really big. Also, another thing that most people can think is difficult is, well, how am I going to manage their time? Right? That's a great thing. They don't have to manage their time because our VAs are trained that they're able to manage their time. So when we look for candidates, VA candidates, we make sure that they're very good on time management. So that's very important.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about differentiators or what stands out or differentiates you from other virtual assistant companies.
Yeah, so before we, rebranded Daft almost 2 years ago, we did a lot of research on other companies and seeing what they're providing and how we can realistically be better, not only for our clients, but also for our virtual assistants. So if anybody signs up with Daft, a project manager, they don't get a 1-800 number that they have to call in to open a ticket or send an email and hope for a response. It's immediate or almost immediate, right within the day. They'll be hearing back from their project manager or their project manager's assistant, just depends on who they get. And we don't have any long-term contracts. We do offer full-time as well as part-time. Most companies offer only full-time. We actually encourage our clients to be part of the final interview, so part of the recruitment process. And whereas some companies will charge an extra fee, or that's just not even an option. They basically say, okay, I need a lead generator. Okay, here you go. Here's the person that's going to be working for you. Whereas with us, we can do that if the client prefers that. Some clients say, well, you know what? You guys know what you're doing. I'd rather you just give me who you think is best. But one of the things that I personally recommend, or what we recommend here at Daft, is we provide you with the top 2 to 4 candidates, and then the client conducts that final interview and they select who they would like to move forward with. On top of that, we do have peace of mind for all of our clients. We have a free lifetime replacement of agents. So if for any reason you are not fully satisfied with your agent, we can go ahead and fully replace that agent at no charge, where most companies do charge after the first 30 days. It's not a service that we really use, but we do have that in place for peace of mind for the client.
Good to know. So how do you recruit and determine the skill sets of your employees?
So first, it starts with the conversation with the potential client. Finding out what their business wants and needs are is very important. So finding out what tools they already utilize within their business, what tools their virtual assistant would be using. So then when we go to the recruitment part of it, we make sure that the agents are very well trained already within that field, within using those tools, things of that nature. We do utilize some clients prefer like specific testing to be done. Some don't. It just depends. Again, every client is different. Some of the clients' needs will be a requirement for them to know a specific tool. Like let's just say if they're going to be doing lead generation. Obviously, the tools used for lead generation, depending on the line of work, would be Apollo or LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So it just depends. We would make sure that they are very well knowledgeable in those tools. They have the proper knowledge to be able to utilize those.
What are some of the other tools that you see commonly used? Like, would it be Excel, like Constant Contact? What can you list a bunch?
Absolutely. So a lot of the tools that are used are maybe like some CRMs like Zoho, we have HubSpot, GoDaddy is one of them as well. There's also other tools like if you're wanting the picture video editing, so Canva is a big one for the editing. Knowing or some of them use editing softwares, still Adobe's used as well. So there's a lot of tools, Microsoft, Google, there's a lot of different tools that are utilized.
Right. So how are the cultural differences handled by the clients? Like going in, they have to know the person is offshore and specifically the Philippines. Are they cool with that, knowing that the virtual assistant will be interacting with clients and prospects? How is that terrain managed?
Sometimes that can be an area where clients are a little bit skeptical. And the reasoning why is sometimes they'll say, well, what are they going to sound like? I know we've all had telemarketers call us and we can't understand them. That problem is a language barrier, right? So, one of the things that we focus on very, very highly here at Daftco is we make sure that there is no language barrier. Depending on the job role, so let's just say you are going to be hiring somebody that was going to be doing some cold calling for you or your business, right? What I would do is before even scheduling those final interviews with you, not only would I send you the candidates' resumes, but I would also send you a recording of them so you know exactly what it is that they sound like, the people that you will be interviewing. So that's very important, especially when they're going to have a role where they're interactive with any potential clients. We want to make sure that there is no language barrier. And we want our clients to know they're comfortable and their clients are going to be comfortable with that as well.
Great. Very important. So can you tell us about your client makeup in the United States? Just some examples of some of the clients you're working with. You mentioned some already, but what are some other examples?
We have some that are doctors. We have some that have research facilities for medical equipment. We have entrepreneurs, we have social media influencers. We have some clients that own their own business, like online business. So e-commerce, like Shopify, things of that nature, storefronts, as well as Amazon storefronts. We have pest control businesses. We have some clients that have, oh, you got me on the spot here. We have, I'm trying to think of, oh,
Coming up.
yeah, a lot of clients that we actually do have as well, that's actually our number two. I'm surprised I haven't mentioned anything in regards to them yet, is we have a lot of business coaches. A lot of business coaches will use our services, Daftco, as their own VAs, whether it's going to be appointment setting, lead generation, and then things of that nature. We have some that do their picture video editing for their podcasts, for their YouTube videos, things like that as well.
Are you seeing any trends or anything in these industries right now? Like you mentioned business coaches, anything else popular?
Yeah, as far we also, like I mentioned earlier, our number one clientele is going to be our real estate space, mainly real estate investors.
How
So
does that
people that
work? How does
yeah, absolutely. So for our real estate investors, what they use our services for is cold calling. So their agents call their lead list and see if they're interested in selling their home or selling their land, selling their property. If they were to be interested in selling their, vacant land, home, property, whatever the case may be, then they would set up an appointment. Well, not only just set up an appointment, they would get information from those people, like their motivation to sell, or basically making sure that it's a strong lead, and they would categorize it. Is it a strong lead, or is it a maybe lead, right? And so regardless, they would go ahead and set up an appointment for someone to call them, an acquisitionist to call them, or somebody that can actually provide them with a quote on how much they're willing to pay for that home.
so they're calling people who would potentially have a property to sell
Correct.
on behalf of the real estate investor.
Correct.
And okay, anything else regarding the real estate?
Yeah, I mean, we do have some real estate agents also asking people if they're wanting to buy homes, if they're wanting to sell homes. It just depends on what exactly they're focusing on.
So this is all great. Let me put you on the spot now, though. Do you have any examples of how Power Partner USA members from our list might be able to use your service? I don't know if you've glanced at who might benefit. Like, how about legal? How does legal work with virtual assistants?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think that there is a need for some of our power partners to be able to utilize our services. And some of those would be, like you mentioned, let's say legal. Within the legal field, I actually do have a few attorneys that are clients. So helping them write up documents. Obviously, they aren't going to be sending those documents out. Those documents do need to be revised by either their paralegal or their staff. But basically supporting documents, depending on what type of legal field they're in, they can help with research. I do have some that file on behalf of certain things. It just depends on what it is that they're looking for.
I also think that they'd be good candidates for business development because, Power Partners, our business model is to find people who give each other repeat referral business. So reaching out on behalf of, from say an attorney who wants to, like an estate planner, for instance, I'll use as an example, as an estate planner would get repeat business from a realtor, CPAs, financial advisors. Do you think that would be a good way to target those people as an introduction to an attorney for just making the contact?
Absolutely. Of course, that would work. Also, one of the other things that I thought about was, I remember in one of the meetings that we had, you mentioned, or, some people were introducing themselves, right? Everybody that was on the call. And I remember that there was general contractors, right? There was plumbers, things of that nature as well. So who answers their phones? We do have customer service. We do have appointment setters. We do have calendar management. We do have agents that do scheduling, things of that nature. Estimates, depending on, if they have guidelines already, they can do that as well. They can do the paperwork for it. So there's always a place where they can utilize virtual assistants.
Right. So yeah, I think business development and this kind of initial reaching out to potential business partners, I think is something that Power Partners and Daftco can really work together on.
Absolutely.
We get into this. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. As a reminder to all our listeners, Power Partners is a B2B introduction service. We introduce business professionals to each other who can provide each other repeat leads and referrals or do business collaboration. We are targeting this podcast to your Power Partners, Candace, to bring you more repeat referral business. Like, who are your Power Partners? Who does give you that repeat business?
Who gives us our repeat business? Well, also our affiliates. So we do have an affiliate program here at Daft where basically anybody can be an affiliate of Daft. You don't necessarily have to be a client of ours. Basically, mainly who gives us our repeat business is our clients, realistically. Our clients see the services, the value, the return on the investment of our virtual agents. It's basically word of mouth. They go ahead and tell other people that they know, friends that are business owners, or when they go to networking events, Daft comes out of their mouth because it's something that they utilize, or not only that, but they see the return on their investment. So we do have an affiliate program that anybody is more than able to join, and there is no fee.
And they can contact you for all that information on affiliate programs?
Yes, they can contact me directly at candace@daftco.com.
So, you mentioned real estate investors, basically existing clients. You mentioned entrepreneurs as Power Partners, just any general business, right? It sounds like our
Correct.
Power Partners for you through word of mouth in a sense, or?
Correct, yes.
All right. So that's why I think it's important to understand what your services actually are, because I'm learning myself. I'm sure a lot of people need to know. And that's why I'm glad this AI is going to help it break it down too, because we're going to get into some more. Like what types are you looking for, any partners or industries or particularly interested in collaborating with?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I would love to collaborate with anybody that wants to obviously make some passive income as well, right? Because our affiliate program does pay pretty well.
I'm a believer in affiliate programs because it's a way to earn on the relationships you have. And like the affiliate doesn't really have to get involved with a sale. Go ahead and talk a little bit about your affiliate program. And, since we're on that subject, tell us a little bit about the affiliate program and why it's important or why it's beneficial to somebody like Power Partners.
So I do think that our affiliate program is mutually beneficial, not only to, Daftco, obviously, but to our partners and anybody else that may be interested in being an affiliate, simply because one, we know what it is that we offer is excellent. We know that we put customer service to our clients first and making sure that we understand your business wants and needs so we can be able to provide the best virtual assistance for you. So, how it can benefit everyone is one, obviously, Daft would provide virtual assistant services, and the person referring not only would help either their friends or any other business owner that they know that needs our services, but at the end of the day, just for being an affiliate and referring someone to us, they would get a payout on that.
Okay, great. So what kind of referrals or leads do you find yourself offering to businesses or like, Power Partner members? What do you find yourself in the market for and the need for, whether it be a resource or some kind of collaboration?
Yeah. So some of the things that, we could utilize services is, I mean, we are looking for different softwares always, new and improved softwares. I think that that's very important with AI is taking over, the new basically it's the new, right? Is AI softwares. So learning about things like that, making sure that we stay on top of things, I think is great. We're always open to new softwares and seeing how it could potentially help Daftco in any line of our business.
And then because you're working with a lot of clients, do they ask you for referrals?
Yeah, so some of our clients do ask, like, oh, do you know? So a lot of depending on what the need is. So, like, let's say we've recommended a lot of our clients going to VoIP, so voice over IPs, or things like that. CRMs, maybe they haven't had CRMs before. There's some clients that we have that are literally just starting their business.
So when Power Partner members, how would you say is the best way to qualify a prospect for you? What should they keep in mind about using Daftco that they can qualify somebody for you?
So basically, anybody that is interested in maximizing their business would be a good fit for Daft. We would be able to help them. So anybody that is looking to have, you have too much on your plate. If you're busy all day, every day, if your work-life balance isn't where it should be, and you're ready to hire someone on, or maybe you might not be ready to hire someone on, but you just want information. All it takes is a 30-minute consultation with me or one of our staff members, and we can let you know this is what we can do, this is where we can help. One of the things that I do like to tell all of our potential clients is write down, or even you, for instance, Alan, write down everything that it is that you're responsible to do for your business. Everything that you do, let's just say for the week, for the month. And then what are some of those things that can be delegated? What are some of those things that you don't like doing? Because at the end of the day, we should be liking what we have to do. So if there's certain tasks that we don't like doing, why do them when you can delegate and have somebody else do it just as good?
Well, what I like is that, you can have the office infrastructure covered, but also the business development, lead generation, just kind of folded into whatever you need. Do you find yourself, like, say somebody hires an office assistant, do you guys find yourself working with that person that's been hired? It could be like an office manager or an assistant of some sort, even an intern. Are you guys completely independent of what's going on in the office? What's the interaction there?
So we do check in with them to make sure everything's going smoothly. Our virtual assistants do check in with us on a daily basis, check in and out for the beginning of their shift, at the end of their shift. And then we do check in with them. Our management checks in with the agents to make sure that everything is running smoothly. However, we do not know their day-to-day operations with their clients because that's not for us, right? So our virtual assistants are hired through us. However, they're contracted out to all of our clients.
Right. But like, say if your client is a legal firm or you're doing some kind of scheduling or, you know, there has to be some kind of interaction with, uh, or is it usually just the boss or somebody in the office? Is there a contact in the office or is it just with a manager? Just a scenario where there's a manager or some kind of office person there and they're also using Daftco. Is there an interaction between those two, or is it just go between your manager and the boss?
Oh, no. So that's a great question, Alan. So our clients have full access to their virtual agent. So they would be reporting, the agent would be reporting to the client directly, or if the client has, a manager in the office, the VA would be reporting to them directly.
Okay,
So
it's
they
just
would be
there's no
getting their tasks.
so there's no conflict. There's no like blame.
No,
There's no point finger pointing if something doesn't jive.
no, it's direct access. So the client has direct access to their VA. They're the ones that would be providing the tasks that need to be done, things of that nature. So for the most part, as soon as we bring a new agent on board, we create an email address for them, right? And then I would send the new email address, the contact information to the client. I would CC the new VA. And basically, I have them set up either Zoom or Teams, whichever the client prefers, for their introduction, for their onboarding with the client. So basically, Daft has already had their onboarding with the VA, and then the client would then basically treat their VA just like they would any employee, in the sense of letting them know what their company culture is, because every company culture is different, right? So letting them know their company culture, setting proper expectations, things of that nature. So that first day usually is something like that. They give them, either a manuscript to read or certain SOPs, things of that nature, just like you would with any other employee. Like I said, setting those proper expectations is extremely important. And then from there, they would set up any kind of tools that are needed, access to certain tools, things of that nature.
For business looking to partner with Daftco, what can they expect in terms of your consultative approach and tailored solutions? And then talk more about the onboarding process. So kind of from start to when your VA starts to work.
Okay. So basically, what we do is in the beginning, like I mentioned, we do have a consultation with the potential client and figuring out their business wants and needs. From there, that would be having the consultation, the free consultation with them would create a job description for that client. And the job description goes out with their service agreement, all that good stuff. And then let's just say they're ready to move forward. Once they're ready to move forward, as soon as they sign their agreement and make their first payment on their invoice, it would be approximately 10 business days for their agent to start from there. Simply because that's our sourcing period, it's about 10 business days. Because again, we don't have agents just waiting to be placed with the next client that we sign. It is customized services. So we go out and source candidates that are experienced in those tools, in that field. We want to make sure that our agents are coming in, hitting the ground running instead of, weeks and weeks and weeks of training. That's the whole point of going the virtual route is somebody that's already experienced and knowledgeable. So after those 10 days, basically, for the most part, give or take, we go ahead and start the onboarding process. We do our onboarding internally, which is, just going over our process and how things work here at Daft. And then we would set up with the client when they want the start date, their schedule, and then the client would then provide either Zoom or Teams meeting, things of that nature, where then the client would go over with them their process, their company culture, what their proper expectations are.
Right. So back to my question again is like your virtual assistant just starts to interact more with whoever the client wants them to interact with. And then at the same time, you have a project manager on your side. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we have a project manager on our side that checks in from time to time with the agent, making sure that everything is going well, seeing if they have any concerns, getting their feedback, and then we have a project manager for the client as well that would reach out to the client, make sure everything's good, making sure that their expectations are being met, seeing how the VA is doing, if there's any areas where we could potentially be coaching the agent as well for them. That's something that we can do if they would like us to. It's not something that's required. Coaching their agent, we can do that for them as well. Most prefer to do it themselves, which is perfectly okay. But if need be, we can do that as well.
Okay. So let me ask you then, because it sounds organized, but you're basically seeing and dealing with the challenges that would happen, would likely occur or face when ensuring a smooth transition between the client and the virtual assistant, like getting them working together. Have you ever had a virtual assistant candidate who completely exceeded expectations in a way that transformed the client's business or really helped that business?
All the time. In fact, what ends up happening realistically is they bring one on. For the most part, most clients that have never used virtual assistants in the past are a little bit skeptical, like I mentioned earlier. So they'll just bring one on, let's just say part-time. And then not even a week in, I'll get a phone call. Candace, why didn't you tell me that they were going to be this amazing? I didn't expect, or for the most part, even during the candidate interviews, most people are like, well, I don't even know who to choose because they're all qualified. And they have a tough time choosing. But for instance, like I've had so many clients that bring on one part time. Within that first week, they'll already bump them up to full time and then want to start adding more. I have one client recently that started with one agent for 20 hours. I wanna say her first agent, she has 5 now, so I don't remember what the first one was, but I wanna say the first one was probably cold calling, and she now has 5, 4 of those are full-time. So it's like within the matter of week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, she added on the additional 4. because she saw the return on investment. She is actually in the process of replacing her current staff. Not all, but some of her staff with virtual assistants simply because or not replacing, but she's able to add more positions with virtual assistants than she would be able to add more positions. Like she'd be able to add, let's say, one in person, whereas with a virtual assistant, she's able to add two, possibly three people. So it's going to her as her business is continuously growing very, very rapidly, she's able to get more staff to handle more of the influx.
What is the biggest problem or problems your company is solving then when it's all said and done?
I would say return on investment realistically, I think, and I'll go ahead and go a little bit more on that. So like I mentioned, somebody is able to hire, let's just say two VAs for the price of one in person. And those two VAs are going to perform at high level. So most of the agents that we bring on have at least a bachelor's degree. So they have four-year college, whereas let's just say the for the most part, our pricing is about $12 to $15 an hour. Let's just say you're on the high end, $15 an hour. And I'm just using this as an example. Let's say you're at $15 an hour. You're going to get work, or you're going to get the agent's performance as someone that's coming in not as an intermediate, but as even higher than that, not a beginner. At $15 an hour throughout most of the states, or let's just say California, for example, you can't even get somebody straight out of high school at $15 an hour because that's below their minimum wage, realistically, right? So you wouldn't even be able to hire someone with basic education. Whereas for $15 an hour, you can probably get someone that's experienced already multiple years in the field that you're in, that they have an education background as well. Like I said, most have at least a bachelor's degree. Not all, depending on the job description, depending on the tool, the skill set needed, but you're already getting somebody that's experienced at that price. And that's on our higher end level wage wise. So they are seeing a huge return on their investment. And that's what we strive. That's why it's so important for us to, when we do get candidates, we make sure that they're realistically overqualified. That's one of the words that I often hear is, well, they're all overqualified. But that's our goal. We want to make sure that every client is their expectations are not just met, but they're beyond exceeded.
Candace, what is the best way for potential clients to reach out to you and start the process of placing a virtual assistant?
I would recommend sending me an email directly. My direct email is candace@daftco.com. And definitely mention if you're seeing or hearing of Daftco for the first time, either through the podcast or the YouTube video or anywhere else, definitely mention Power Partners so we know exactly where you came from, because we definitely want to make sure that we take care of you.
Right. And on the website, you're filling out a form to get a consultation.
Right. So on the website, you'll be filling out a form to get a consultation, and you would be contacted through one of our sales reps. Whereas if you reach out to me directly, you would deal with me directly. You wouldn't go through our sales team.
Great.
So you get that VIP access,
Yeah,
right?
deal with Candace, the knowledge base for Daftco.
I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. Our sales team is great, right?
Yeah.
I do deal with our VIP clients. So you would definitely get the VIP treatment by reaching out directly.
Thank you. So can Daftco provide VA services to public sector clients such as cities and states as well?
Yes, we can, depending on their criteria. So realistically, we can also provide agents that are located within the US if that's something that's a requirement. However, the pricing is obviously completely different because we do have to abide by additional laws. So we can provide that if that's something that's required. There are some roles that do require them to physically be located in the US. And we can definitely provide that as well.
You know, my impression so far is that it's mostly small business that you're working, but are you also working with corporations?
We work with small businesses as well as corporations for multiple different types of companies.
What is the cost structure for your services? How do they compare to the industry?
We do try to keep our pricing at around $12 to $15 an hour. There are no additional fees on top of that. It's just the hourly rate. Our minimum is 20 hours weekly, and then obviously full time, other than your occasional overtime here and there, right? If that's something that's needed, which our overtime is still at the same rate. So we don't charge you over or double or half time, things like that. And then there are some roles that do require a little bit more skill set. You're looking at higher end roles, more like SEO work, website, backend design, things like that. And that is approximately $15 to $20 an hour. But for the most part, like I said, our roles are typically $12 to $15 an hour. And so with our pricing, keep in mind you are going to be getting agents that are experienced, not only in that field, but also have, for the most part, a higher education.
Can you expound on the education part?
Yeah. So with their education, most have gone to, for the most part, a 4-year college. We do have some that have done 2 years, but for the most part, have done at least a 4-year college. So having their bachelor's degree, it can be maybe sometimes it may not be in the same field that you're looking for, but they do have obviously that basic knowledge of their education.
You're just paying the client's hourly wage, but you take care of all of the employee benefits and all that.
So when it comes to what our clients are responsible to pay for, it would be the hourly rate, and that is it. We don't charge any admin fees. We don't charge any yearly fees, nothing like that. In fact, it's not even taxed because it's a service that we're providing and not a product. We also take care of many additional things for the agents, like we provide them with HMO, depending if they're eligible. We provide them with incentives for their attendance. All of that is covered by Daft and is not charged to the client. Like I mentioned, the only thing that the client is responsible to pay is the hourly rate.
What are the words, phrases, or conditions that lead to referrals from you? Like, in other words, if I'm at a mixer, what are the keywords I should be listening for?
I think the key words that you should be listening for is recruitment, expand. Anybody that wants to expand their business, anybody that wants, or if they're hiring, I think that's important because if they're hiring, instead of hiring one person to do one job, they can hire, one person to do multiple jobs or one virtual assistant to do multiple jobs. So anybody that mentions that they're hiring or they're looking to expand or they're looking to bring on more people or realistically stress. Stress is a big one because what causes stress? Work overload, right? So work overload is another one as well because that's where we can help people manage their time by adding virtual assistant services.
Great. I'm going to throw this out there because we have Kelly Haas who does kind of in-person. I'm of the belief that people you think are competitors are not, they might be competitors, but they can also be allies. How would you summarize your conversation with Kelly or somebody who does what Kelly does?
Yeah, so I had an excellent conversation with one of the other power partners, Kelly, that does something similar but not similar. So, from my understanding, what they do, they're also a staffing agency. They do have specific niches and they do in person, right? For the most part. And so, I believe, from my understanding, that all of their staffing is located here in the US. So, one of the things that we went over, like we did have a conversation, one of the things that we went over on how we could help each other is if, let's just say, for instance, she were to have a client that is looking to a placement that's something that they don't offer, right? She can easily refer that client to me. Or let's just say that client is looking to place someone, but they unfortunately can't afford their services by any means, then they would refer them to us. And then vice versa. So how can I refer any potential clients to her? Well, we do have some clients that require, like I mentioned, require them to be located here in the US. Well, realistically, Kelly's going to have better resources. Although we can provide that, I do believe that Kelly would probably be able to provide better resources for that client simply because that's exactly what they do. That's what they focus on. So at the end of the day, what we want is all of our clients or even potential clients to succeed. If I know that another company can do better for them, I'm going to send them that way because at the end of the day, what is that client going to remember? That client is going to remember that I put their needs above what, us getting a client. Because if it's something I know they would benefit from somebody else, I'm going to send them that way simply because I want them to have long-term success. If I know I cannot provide long-term success for them, there's no point in me bringing them on. To waste their time, that would be a negative impact on the client, and that would be a negative impact on Daft. So at that point, what I would do is, like I mentioned, I would, make that connection for them saying, hey, that's not something that I can provide, but I do have a contact that can be more than happy to provide those services for you.
Right. And in that sense, you're a true power partner. You and Kelly can give each other repeat referral business or collaborate. I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely, like I said, we've had that conversation and it's like, oh yeah. And, she's great, super bubbly and fun. So I'm definitely glad that she's part of the Power Partners as well.
Great. We're glad to have both of you. For anybody wanting to know more about virtual assistant services, what are the three most important things that they should take away from this conversation?
I would say have an open mind to have a conversation. You can have a 30-minute conversation with me and we can go over your business wants and needs. I think it's very important that everyone should know that they can utilize virtual assistant services. It's not difficult like some people may think. And then I think going through an agency is probably best because we're able to respond to anything. Whereas if you were to try to do it solo, you're flipping a coin, right? Is this person going to be good or not? We have years of experience in filtering out candidates and making sure that we select the best of the best. And so one thing that we don't do is compromise on quality. We know what we're looking for. We would never provide an agent as a candidate to any of our clients that we would not hire internally.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway from our conversation and me learning about your services is that your virtual assistants have been vetted and the client gets to confirm them, right?
Correct. Not only that, but so one of the things that I like to say, because it's not just about the client. So we're not this big corporate America company that believes that the client is always right. That can be debatable sometimes, right? So one of the things that I like to mention is we are not just for our clients. Of course, we are for our clients, but we're not just for our clients. We also take very good care of our agents. We make sure that they, no matter who their client is that we make sure that they have a healthy work environment. That's very important. That we make sure that they like what it is that they do, because at the end of the day, if they like what they do, they're going to perform better. They're going to show up to work with a smile on their face. On those hard days that it's like, can I call out? I have the PTO time. Should I? They're going to want to go to work because they enjoy what they do. Not only that, so if we put a job ad out because of word of mouth when it comes to our agents, we get hundreds of applications within 2 days because it's mainly word of mouth that gets out. Our current agents that are with us, they tell people that they've worked with before. They tell like their past colleagues. Sometimes they'll message me, Candace, I sent my colleague the job description that you have out, things like that, because they see how they're treated. So one story actually that I would like to share is we did have a client that told me recently that she was basically going between us and another company. She did not tell me the name of the company, which is okay, but she was honest. She was transparent, which I very much appreciate. And she said, well, the person that I selected with you, I also got their resume from another company. And so I said, okay, well, that's good to know. And so I went to the agent and I asked, what were the reasonings that you decided to go with instead of the other companies that you were interviewing with and applying with? And so one of the things she said that the compensation was better with us. Mind you, this is the same client, same job description. So she said the compensation was better with us. The benefits were better with us because most VA companies do not provide benefits to their agents. Most companies do not provide PTO or holidays off, things like that. Whereas we do provide that to all of our virtual assistants. And so, the agent was like, well, you guys offered so much more for us. So it was just, it was might as well go with you guys. And she's like, and I'm happy that I did. So that's one thing also that makes me, I don't want to say proud of what I do, but realistically, yes, because it tells me that we're doing something right. It tells me that we're changing people's lives for the better in trying our absolute best to make sure that they like what they do, that they like the company that they work for, as well as the clients that they have as well.
But that also says something about your values as a manager and why you work for Daft.
Oh, absolutely. I think that it trickles down. I think the owners of the company are amazing. I couldn't ask for better owners to the company. And I think because of the way they treat management, it just trickles down. I want my staff to do the same thing as well. Simply because, we build a rapport with each other. We enjoy, what it is that we do and make sure that we check in on our staff like, hey, how are you doing? What is it, are you liking? Do you need anything? I think that's very important to have a positive impact.
How many employees do you have?
Oh, that's a good question. Like VAs or just in?
Yeah, just like it seems like you would have a lot of employees under working.
Yeah, so internal, we have a little over 30, and then VAs in the hundreds.
Right. So it's a strong company. You know, my experience in technology, I used to recruit and place programmers from India, Singapore, Mexico, bring them to the United States on visas, work visas, H-1Bs, place them. So I have experience with international. That's why one of my companies is called Tech International, because the world is loaded with intelligent people, and we're able to work with them, change their lives, like you say, improve them. I'm well aware of that. I know that happens. On the business side, you're solving problems, you're supplying resources, things like that. So it's all intertwined. And, our ability to use technology and work globally, I think is important.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's a business, but you also have to have the values and that, like you say, to take care of your people. I think that is important as well. And I would just say that I was really impressed with you and the conversation we have personally. If you're listening and you want to know more about Candace, you're going to have to reach out to her. I'm not going to share all the great things that she's done on the personal side. You have to reach out to Candace and learn that for yourself. So Candace, I think this is a great interview. I'm looking forward to getting it out there and putting it on our AI platform to educate everybody about Daftco and yourself and the services you provide. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Alan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for starting Power Partners because, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met such amazing other Power Partners as well. So thanks.
Okay. Thank you.